It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo. Afolabi Brown, as always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam Longe. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
How was your weekend?
The weekend was good. Something really funny happened to me over the weekend, and I was wondering, like, when you go to the pharmacy to get drugs, don't you need privacy to ask? I mean, if it's not malaria drugs, like, yeah. But
yeah.
they're just everybody's just everywhere, and then the pharmacist over the counter is asking, "What do you want?"
Oh, God.
I was so upset. I eyed them the last time I went. I don't know if I should share what I got. Yeah, it was a PT. So I went to get one, and everybody was just there coming in. And then, you don't know, a pregnancy test.
Sorry.
So everyone was there. I'm like, I stopped at the first one, and I changed. I went to another place the same time. I'm like, what is this?
There should be a bit of discretion.
So the pharmacist was like, yes, can I help you? I said, there's everybody, I'm waiting. So once I was done, then, I moved close and I got it. And I was leaving. Then someone said, I know your face. In my mind, I said, you see?
That's the
You see?
thing.
You know? Yeah, but I'm thinking that pharmacists should do better.
Yeah,
you can have like the general one and then give some people some privacy to talk to you.
Especially when you have, if that situation is now in a younger person, they probably might go through a quack and not go through a proper process, because the proper process will make them vulnerable. Yeah.
How you doing?
I thought it was a CD you were getting.
No, that's fine. You can just take that up yourself and pay for it.
Exactly. How you doing, Tokwe?
I'm good. Had a very, very busy weekend. It was church,
Oh, yeah.
Saturday and Sunday.
Oh,
It
nice.
was amazing, as in, I needed it, and I feel very refreshed from the conference, Women of Destiny conference. I have a new future mentor. She's not my mentor yet, but I have put it on Instagram, I've put it on Facebook, and I've announced to her that, please, Ma, you're going to be my future mentor. Her name is Mrs. Audrey Jo Ezegbo, and I've announced that on TV too. She's going to be my future mentor. But it
Why
was a really...
future?
I've been to a few conferences where she spoke at, and she's very powerful.
Why future?
She has content.
So
Why not current?
Oh, yeah, because I haven't built a relationship. And for mentorship, you need to have a relationship where the person understands their stake in your life.
Okay.
And they'll be willing to work with you, pull you back, and ensure that you are on the right track. So,
Sweetie, drop your affirmation.
yes,
Is your mentor.
she is.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I had a restful weekend.
You look refreshed.
Yes, I am refreshed, actually. So I woke up Sunday morning very early and finished my meditation. I was not asking myself, then did some work, just got some materials ready for the real videos I do regularly. I was not asking myself, what should I do? Oga just chatted me, what have we had for breakfast? I said, pancakes. And he said, is it with that sauce? No, he went for a walk. Is it with that sauce? I said, the sauce is not available. Go and make it for me now. I said, the ingredients are not available. It's how we buy it. My guy enter ShopRite. Shops. I now used the opportunity to sell extra things for him to buy. So I made that pancake sauce for him, and then made the
She needs to share the recipe.
Yes, I will share the recipe with you guys. I made the curry sauce for rice for him. He had a good time. He sent me love messages. I wanted to post on social media before, but I said, he has warned me, take our life out of social media. So I enjoyed my WhatsApp messages by myself. I was smiling, I was blushing. He loves it when I cook. And I don't have time to cook often. But I'll just do my best once in a while to just give him that treat. Like, he really loves it.
She's blushing. But you see, the thing is, sometimes people learn. If I see the way you love, I might learn how to love better.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't, keep it out of social media, but a few times share the lessons that
I will just
Keep it out of social media.
Yeah.
Share the lessons enough already.
Abio, Wakochi.tv.
Smiling.
Morayo, how was your weekend? As in,
Contagious.
yeah.
But I mean, weekend was nice. It was Titi's twins were RD and SDJ. So Saladin
Jacobs.
Yes.
Director of news at TVC. Her daughter was 1 year old. So I didn't look at the venue. I just went to a house with the baby and everything, and then realized that it's a different venue. But I was so upset with myself. But I went to Titi's party. It was nice on Saturday. Sunday, church stuff, the whole thing. And I have a family also, because my uncle's 8 days, it's on Tuesday. So I had to still see family just to find out the plans and everything. But not bad at all. Looking forward to this new week. Hopefully, looking for hopefully getting some good news. Hopefully this
Of course.
Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. Drama, suspense, uproar over the Rex declaration of the nanny, as in Adamawa. APC controls Senate with 59 seats. 22 feared killed, houses razed in fresh attack on southern Kaduna community. Idris is Kebbi governor-elect. UBA raises profits to 64.4 billion naira in first quarter. Chidi Amuta got it all wrong on Obi, says Alake. And investors lose 601 billion naira in 4 days. Let me start with the banana story, because all over weekend, everybody there was a lot of drama on is she not. You know, we got an announcement just for INEC to say the announcement cannot stand and must not stand because the REC, that's Hudu Yunusa Ari in Adamawa State, announced Senator Aisha Bunani as the governor-elect without being authorized to do so. According to them, it's the job of the returning officer to make that announcement. And besides, the collation, according to the report, wasn't completed, so they stopped all collation. They said the commission said that the REC broke the rules with the announcement, which ought to be the role of the returning officer. It summoned the REC to Abuja for this morning, and both the REC and the returning officer, Professor Mele Mohammed, to Abuja, and halted further collation of all results. INEC, the Voter Education Commission, and that's Festus Okoye, was said that the commission's management would meet tomorrow, which is this morning, to review Adamawa's situation and take a final decision. So we're waiting for that decision this morning. But it was wrong for the REC to go ahead. I mean, but unfortunately, I think he was also battered. I think I saw some videos. I'm not sure if it was him, but he was beaten up. So we don't know exactly what happened, but hopefully we can get some investigation to be sure exactly what transpired. But either way, wait for INEC's decision this morning.
Yeah. As much as I would like, female governor, especially from the north. You know, I just don't want the circumstances.
Want it to be done the right way.
Surrounding this. Yeah, I have a story. So, in the spirit of politics continuation, the APC is said to have secured the majority seat in the 10th Senate. You know, that's following this weekend's conclusion of senatorial elections. They said 5 other political parties, including the PDP, have collectively won 50 seats. So what we have is that the APC, this supplementary election, the APC won 4 and PDP 3. Then PDP style is 36, Labour Party 8, the NNPP and SDP won 2 each, ABGA and YPP won 1 seat each, and then 2 heavyweights, you know, got back. Another heavyweight, you know, lost a seat. Just regular. So APC is the majority in the House.
Yeah, so
but the gap is not so wide either with PDP. I thought it was 54.
No, 36.
Okay, 36. Okay, well, at least we have different people, so they can still swing things, because if they all come together, if all the other parties come together, they can still swing certain votes. But I'm happy that we have a good mix in the House.
So a sad story. About 20 people were on Saturday night killed, several others injured after gunmen launched an attack on Runji village, Sankwab community of Zango Kataf local government area in Kaduna State. They said the attack occurred barely 3 days after 8 people were killed at Antak Njay village of the same local government. Now, according to the story, they said the attackers stormed the community for a few minutes to 10 p.m. on Saturday and started shooting sporadically into the air and killing people, razing houses. A lot of people scampered into safety. The sources also said that local guards that were keeping vigil were able to engage the invaders, but it took the swift intervention of the military operatives to repel the attack. The locals, went ahead to commend the swift response of the military, saying that the attackers would have wiped out the whole community if the military hadn't come. Now, the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arunwan, confirmed the incident. Governor El Rufai also described the incident as unacceptable and unjustifiable. And this has left a lot of residents of that community injured. Some of them have died, and they are hoping that, the government will do more to protect the lives and property of people in Kaduna State. It's just a very sad story.
Very sad. I've taken 2 stories on killings within that Zango, Kataf area, and it keeps happening over and over again. I want to take the story about the economy and the investors panicking. Nigeria, investors lose 601 billion in 4 days, and this was because of a panic that happened based on concerns over the macroeconomy and currency risk. So the investors and exporters window, Naira fell by 16 points to 464 to a dollar, and while parallel markets it fell by 13 basic points to 743 to a dollar, and that caused a major crisis. However, the Nigerian's forex reserve grew a little bit by 38.89 million to close at 35.43 billion, but we still have a macroeconomic crisis to manage, and it's not looking good economically.
Okay, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with the punch. Stay with us. We'll be right
back. Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to the punch. Binani declaration, Adamawa Rec under fire, faces INEC panel today. Nigeria's 96% revenue used to service debt in 2022, says World Bank. Aviation unions to ground flights and airports today. Buhari meets governors, EFCC chair, others in Saudi Arabia. Flood sweeps 4-year-old boy away in Lagos. Lagos Ondo Bayelsa heads elite states in rising inflation. Government abduct Ogun traffic official on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Okay, human interest?
Human interest, yes. So this 4-year-old boy, Chukwuemeka Okoro, was swept away by the flood on Tuesday after a heavy downpour. And according to the story, they said he was standing beside the nearby drainage when he fell in and was washed away through the community to even another community. So the parents of the boy have been trying as much as possible to get him, retrieve his body so that they can perform the rites. They have not been able to. According to the story, said on Friday, there were over 20 volunteers and residents who were trying to, search for him. They went through the different areas from Onibata community of Ogba, where it actually happened. They went to Alagbole, which is Waikis area, and then to another area. I'm trying to get the exact location, but they were not able to find him. The people in that particular area, Akintolu, were saying that the river did not flow to that direction, so it's been diverted somewhere else. And the residents also complained about this particular canal, that they have been making reports to the government so far. Nothing has been done. It's been eating a lot of people in that area. The government needs to visit that area and see what they can do to help the residents of that place.
Really, really
It's a very sad incident.
This story.
Another story, unknown gunmen have kidnapped an official of the Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps. His name is Popola Olasupo. He was on his way to work alongside one of his other colleagues. He was in a commercial bus. They said that when they approached Eledumare Fidiwo axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, gunmen came out of the bushes and then shot at the vehicle, and he was the only one that was kidnapped. The police have confirmed that this happened, and they said that they are on the trails of the kidnappers, and they assure everyone that Ogun State is not a den for kidnappers, and that they will smoke them out.
So I want to take the story of the Nigerian economic challenges. The World Bank has said that constant fiscal deficit every year, we don't have money to run the budget, is going to worsen the government's public debt stock. They said that in 2022, Nigeria spent 96.3% of the government's revenue on servicing debts. and the positioning doesn't look good for Nigeria. Of course, they have their advice. They said that the redesigning of the Naira did not help Nigeria, that it hampered the economic growth and made poverty, hampered economic growth and poverty reduction efforts, that it even increased the number of poor people within the country and worsened the forecast for Nigeria. And I'm just wondering that, well, the CBN, the World Bank has been saying this since, if with the level of information that we have, why are we still making decisions that seem like we are not planning a proper, like the 800, we're still going to spend 800 million to give as people as direct cash. Like it doesn't look like our leaders really
sometimes
have
I get conflicting messages. Sometimes you get the report saying that, oh, Nigeria, the Q1, but the reports are
no, they can be, you'll be hearing growth. Yes. But when you look at the macro, like your growth is nothing compared to where you ought to be. Most of our revenue is still going to servicing debt. So we don't have any income to use to do proper infrastructural development. We're borrowing money to pay every small bill, borrowing money to dash people money.
Where are we?
Let me you said borrowing money to dash people money, and I'm thinking, okay, the infrastructure is, I know, I mean, listen, I get that. It's not our topic. Let's move. So I was going to take a story that caught my attention. Oh, our president is in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, he is. And he's there. He's been visited by the Borno State Governor and Yobe State Governors, Professor Babagana Zulum and Mai Malabuni. They both went to go and see him. And also the chairman of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Honorable Abikadabri Erewa, and the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuko Baratai. They all went there to go and see him just to give them updates on what on their various assignments, and also all the various situations back home. He's been there for 4 days or 5 days now in Saudi Arabia. He's been hosted by the host, and he's been well taken care of. I mean, the way they took our president, did you see the videos? How he was just ushered in with all the paraphernalia of his an important
I thought he went to pray.
He went to pray also, but he was
also recognized as president
of the whole Nigeria. Anyway, so he was there and he was speaking on the report, saying that all the reports he's getting, whatever Nigeria has achieved today is due to the power of its democracy, which therefore, and its institutions, which therefore must be strengthened going forward. And I'm happy that he likes to speak to us when he goes out of the country.
I would like to understand, is this a thing? Like wherever he goes, people must go?
It's easier to see him there. In Nigeria, there's a lot of protocols. There's a lot of, you can't just walk to Aso Rock and go and see president. Even remember there was a time where even the speaker was saying that they've not spoken to president, Governor El Rufai. I've been trying to see the president, I've not seen him. So it's not easy to access him.
Different territory.
Once he goes to a different country,
protocol is different.
The protocol is a bit more released, it's relaxed, so it's easy to access these important people. Just say my own.
When are you traveling? Make me come and access you.
Please. Okay, let's move on to Daily Sun. Have we gone on a break?
Yes, we have.
Daily Sun.
Went early.
Striking workers cripple airports operations. LP crisis deepens as 2 Guber candidates emerge in Imo. Contact dormant account owners before taking their monies. Shareholders urge CBN. FG awaits legislative approval to disburse $800 million to vulnerable Nigerians. Another bloody day in Kaduna. Tension in Adamawa over Guber results. IPOB, no threat to 2023 census in Southeast NPC.
The major headline, airports across Nigeria will be shut down today as aviation unions commence a 2-day warning strike over non-release of their reviewed condition of service negotiated with 4 aviation agencies over 7 years, in addition to the planned demolition of Lagos offices of some agencies. So there are a lot of them here, part of the union, Secretary General of the National Union of Air Transport Employees, and so many others. I don't want to go through the list, but they are saying that they have given a notice for the 2-day strike, which is starting today, saying that they have earlier issued a 14-day ultimatum to the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, on the same issue since February 7th of this year. And they are warning that if their demands are not met after the warning strike, it will be followed by an indefinite strike. So some of their grounds included non-implementation of minimum wage consequential adjustments and arrears for the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, since 2019, refusal of the Salaries, Income and Wages Commission and Office of the Head of Service of the Federation to release the reviewed condition of service of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCA, Nigeria College of Aviation Technology, NCAT, and Nigerian Meteorological Agency as negotiated by between as duly conveyed by the Federal Ministry of Aviation since upwards of 9 years. So these were reviews that were supposed to have been done for them 9 years ago that they have not done. And they are saying that, the heads of the unions had a meeting with the government. They had promised, they had held a Zoom meeting in April, and they had promised that they would be able to shelve the strike if some of these their needs and demands have been met. And so far, the strike has just started. They are asking that the government does what it needs to do, the agencies do what they need to do, release what they need to do, or else it will just be indefinite. This may not work for us right now.
Okay, so we remember, I think it was last week when we said the CBN had signed in a new financial policy saying that they were going to be mopping up funds from dormant accounts. They listed the different kinds of accounts that they will now use those funds for treasury bills, to fund the treasury bills. So the guideline had detailed the fund received from, so it says bank without sufficient details. So, okay, the affected financial assets will be dormant accounts, unclaimed balances and other assets in savings, current, term and domiciliary accounts, anything that had been saved for 10 years and above. Anyways, we have the Bank Customers Association of Nigeria. They're calling on CBN to tread carefully. They said that because when they remove these monies, first of all, before they even think about removing this money, they should do all that they can to find the owners of this money.
The money,
yes,
that's the right thing.
People's money. And secondly, it says that you would, by doing this, you will, reduce the faith that people have in banking their monies, and also that many of the old generation banks depend on deposits like this, and taking this money out, these monies that will collapse the bank.
Yeah.
So CBN really needs to take more time before they go ahead with what they plan on doing.
I want to take a story about Rivers State. So Rundele community in Omoha local government area of Rivers State was thrown into panic. They had some soldiers that were meant to guard the oil pipelines within the area, and those soldiers had an altercation with the vigilante group popularly called OSPAC. It resulted in shooting. They said 2 soldiers were shot. They didn't confirm if either of them, that they said they sustained gunshot injuries, and that the OSPAC people carted away with rifles belonging to the soldiers as well as uniforms. The traditional ruler of the area, Demien Ejiowo, confirmed the story that the incident did happen, but they were trying to get information from the military that the Nigerian Army 6th Division in Port Harcourt should also confirm. They said they reached out, he didn't pick his phone. The villagers are terrified of what will happen in between, and many of them have deserted their houses because of fear of what will happen. But I don't know. I don't understand how a vigilante group would clash with soldiers that are meant to secure the pipelines, and I hope we didn't lose any soldier in the shooting.
So, the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, has said that they are only waiting legislative approval for the $800 million to be disbursed as a palliative for Nigerians. According to her, preparation works are already in top gear as all approvals are being awaited, especially building the social register, which should be used for the electronic transfers. She said, according to her also, we need to have this ready because the government eventually removes, when they remove the subsidy, people will need that extra money to, even though inflation will swell, we hope that could support, especially Nigerians who are really in need of this money. When asked about the $23 million that was paid to consultants to secure the $800 million, she said she doesn't even know what that means, but they have enough expertise within the Ministry of Finance to secure. They actually sourced all the funds. It wasn't like they didn't need consultants.
That was false.
Pay. That was false information. That they sourced that money from the World Bank. They went to the Debt Management Office, the Ministry of Finance, and the World Bank also helped to support to get that money. So we don't need consultants to help us raise any kind of finance. We have internal expertise that has worked over time. When they asked about the investment in local production, she said that once we save that money, we're able to have enough money to fund all that we need for modular refineries and all that. Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. Time is up. We're going to break. When we come back, we want our topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So today our topic is concerning women. And the reason why this topic is quite important these days, because over the weekend, people were thinking we're going to be having the very first female governor-elect in our country, but unfortunately, we don't have those results yet. And then it starts the conversation. How many more women do we need to prove a point? How many more women do we need to ensure that we have enough representation in governance? How many more women can we encourage, or how do we begin to start getting women involved? So we're not all just waiting for this one woman to be governor-elect. How do we get more women in space? Especially because many women have grown into corporate Nigeria, especially in banking, in manufacturing companies. We've seen lots of women work their way up the ladder and become directors and become managing directors, have been in charge. But in governance and politics, it's somewhat slower. We got some numbers that out of the 423 National Assembly seats declared so far by INEC, only 15 are women. And the numbers haven't really been so far from the last elections either. So what exactly is going on? We've discussed this many times before. But how do we get more women to go up the ladder and grow to the point where they own a ticket? What are your thoughts on this? How do we get more women involved? You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-3907-6948. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweet. So while we're waiting for INEC to declare if we have the first female governor or not, we're hoping between today and tomorrow we'll know for sure. But my question is, why is it taking so long for women to participate in this at this level in politics? We have quite a number of women who have done well in politics, but we don't have enough coming boldly to the table or doing the groundwork to work their way up the ladder. Why do you think this is so?
You know, because we have talked about this many times on different platforms, we've heard women in politics and outside politics give their own view on what this is. For me, I think I would just narrow it down to maybe the way politics is played. Because we see, as you mentioned, in your introduction, that women in the corporate world, they're doing really well. And even have sole proprietors, entrepreneurs who are doing well, and they're taking charge and running companies. So it says to me that there is a way that is run. We've had a couple of politicians who say, well, sometimes these politicians like to meet at odd hours because that's really when they would have time. During the day, they're just doing the work, and then at night they meet. And most women find it uncomfortable, those hours. Then we also have the fact that we've had all the other position, which is maybe as a country, or as a society, or as a culture, for us, the image for someone who can take the responsibility is the image of a man, a male perspective. We tend to give that image more respect. A woman has to prove herself over and over again. Politicians who have come, or government appointees who have failed as women, or have made mistakes as women, we are denigrated far worse, than their male counterparts. So I think also as a society, we tend to think a man should be in that position. But I do not think it's because women are not trying enough. I don't think so. I think women are coming out, pushing, breaking all ceilings. But there is a way that we think, so that's the mindset. And also this particular industry we're talking about, politics, there has to be a different way that they play it. Or women need to understand, okay, we see this is how it's played. We understand it, but we are going to play it a different way. I've never been one to support a woman just because she's a woman. She has to, earn whatever office she's running for. And so I've found times when women have asked, oh, we need more representation. We want government, we want it in the constitution to give us a certain, and it would rub me off the wrong way. But, the older you're getting and the more that you're hearing stories, and I'm like, we need to give them that first landing ground is what they're asking. They're not saying forever, but because we already have an ongoing mindset and the way things are, it makes it hard to break through. So show us support, give us a platform that can allow us launch from there. And so, yes, I think government should do better in that.
Well, let me come to you. Your own general thoughts on women.
Why we don't see
how we taking so long years in
yes.
politics and government.
So I like how Miriam established the issue. She mentioned mindsets, which is largely what what is affecting how we see things. And because Nigeria is we're still under patriarchy. No matter how much we do bragado as women, this is still a patriarchal society. And because of that, when it comes to issues of leadership and governance, we always tilt towards the man. Even the women who are supposed to support you because a woman is coming will take a seat back when you make your intention known that you want to vie for this position or this office, because in their head, you may not be able to, rugged it out the way we expect it to be done, and so they would rather, support the man. But in other industries that has, private businesses, women have been able to break the glass ceilings. They are doing amazing. They are great managers. They are bringing international recognitions home. But we don't see that in politics, and that is what we are talking about this morning. How do we now begin to get a lot of women to participate? I personally have a problem with saying, let us give them, something like a footing. Because if we want to be respected, we must be able to stand up for ourselves and push on as equals if we want to be respected, especially when it comes to politics. So that give them like a soft landing. Women are perceived as vulnerable persons, and the majority of the people will not want a vulnerable person to actually take that mantle of leadership. So we should leave that segment of being in a vulnerable place and step up. Do you have capacity? Can you do the job? Are you willing to come out? Are you able to gather support from women and men across board? So if everybody is paying for, what's it called? Because if you're writing exams, for instance, you're not giving a separate paper. When you're writing JAMB or exams in the university, the female should write this paper and the male should write that paper. We do the same thing. We do the same job. We have the same competencies, right? So when it comes to governance, women must prove that we have the same competencies. If we're going to buy the ticket for 50,000 naira, everybody should buy the ticket for 50,000 naira, and then we are focusing on the competence. Maybe by the time we start doing it that way, we'll have women who really want to be a part of this. Because what I hear, I studied politics, and I know back in school then, they would, persuade you as a woman to come out. They will beg you, they will cajole you, represent us now. We need women here, we need women there. But when everything is made equal, so to speak, we can now have women who would say, I want to run this, I want to be a part of this and get the support that we need. My personal opinion.
Right. Let me come to you, because is it that women, we have natural restrictions, no matter how we really try to have that equal level playing field to come in. I'm going to come in because I earned it. But you get to a point in that career where you have to remember that, okay, I'm also a mother, I'm also this, I'm also that. There are other factors you have to put into play. These are restrictions that some men are able to hand over to you as a woman. You're the wife, hey, you handle that area. So can we really go beyond that? Or should we be realistic that this is our role and just keep it that way?
Politics or generally?
Generally, I mean, in politics also.
Okay, so for me, I feel as much as women have the intellectual capacity as men, like on an equal level, the truth is women have a lot of societal restrictions and norms that are not our choice, but they are just natural. We have to get pregnant, and for many women, pregnancy is a 9 months you are knocked out.
Yeah.
And even a few months after, you have to nurse. So there are seasons in a woman's life that no matter how ambitious she is, she would have to look at the season and prioritize what is important in that season. And that importance might be raising the future generation. But when we bring it into politics, I feel like women need to fight more. I think that we've heard so many times, sit down, just wait for your turn, wait for your turn. But the men that get there fought. And when we look at other places where they've been able to cause change, in the US, having blacks become capable of voting, it was a battle. They fought because it's never going to come to you. Even if they give you 35% affirmative, you will still not be able to get into that position unless you fight. Women would have to fight. And it's not a physical battle. It's a battle of resilience. I'm not going to back down. I am going to contest this election until you allow me to win. Right from inter-party. The biggest challenge I see in Nigerian politics is we have a mass large group of women. The elections in the primary section, primaries within parties are largely dominated by women, but they are the ones that are now told to vote for this is the person we are going to vote for. We need to now get more women from being in the crowd to aspiring for leadership within the party structure, because what you are, who you are meant to vote for is determined within the party structure. And until you start being in the selection process, you are left to the big daddies that founded the party.
Yeah.
So we need to get more women founding party, getting into the funding of the party, getting into the intelligence of the structure of the party. At that point in time, then when they want to make decisions, let women be the one controlling the mass.
We need more godmothers.
As a woman, you should be the one in the marketplace that you have 500,000 women that will show up for you.
We have that.
Then you are the one that can.
But let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll talk, because we do have Iyalojas who own numbers. But stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're talking about queen makers or king makers, queen king makers. You know,
Queen makers.
Queen makers.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
I mean, there's actually a series on Netflix, Queen Makers. I was about to watch it, but maybe I'll go and watch it now.
That's true too.
You see, we need more of them, because the truth is that whether I like it or not, financing is a big part of politics. And we need more women who have money and say, you know what, I'm a job. My only thing I'm going to do right now is support a woman from start to finish. But you see, there are women who are scared of getting into politics. They want to do it, but they always feel that they have to choose between family, they have to choose between loved ones. They can't, it's a difficult decision to make. So are we therefore saying that for a woman to go all the way, she must make that choice?
But Morayo, every woman succeeding, every married woman succeeding has the support of the husband. You can't do it alone. And you see them, even the ones in the corporate world, they'll tell you, I have a very good support system, because you really can't do it without a support system. For a woman to succeed, there's a support system. A man can succeed by himself. He can revolt against everything. You see a man that chooses that I'm married, I have children, but this is my career path, or I'm a politician and I'm going to Abuja, I'm in Abuja every month. And that's not seen. They will not even argue with that. How are your children coping? But the truth is, how are his children coping? Because there's a woman. But if a woman is going to House of Assembly, there will be a case of, so who will take the children? How will you? The women then usually have to have been done with, your children are done with secondary school in the minimum, they're already in the university, so you can employ your schedule. So based on seasons, there are restrictions. But we should now have women who have gone through these seasons who will not be willing to sit there and say, I am fighting for women and I have the money.
Now, let me unpack that a bit. For a woman who says, I will stick to my kids are grown. Now, when you come in at that time, a lot have happened. You've missed quite a bit. So there are men who have already, they are ahead of you. So we need people who are starting from ground up, regardless of family, but they are there, where in every season, every election, you are there in the grass. They see you growing up the ranks, because you can't just show up and say, now my kids are grown. Hello, guys, I'm ready for politics. Yeah. Nobody's going to
you know, that's what I was saying, that the difference is the way politics is played. When we see in corporate organizations where women are married and they have children and they're still succeeding, for corporate bodies that understand and appreciate the competence that the women are bringing in, they always create an atmosphere or an ecosystem that supports her growth. So you find conversations of, oh, we now have daycare centers because we know that our women are having children. Oh, we're extending maternity leave. This shows, that we are interested in this person. And we know that there are other factors that may sort of affect her growth differently from a man's growth. And so we're going to put everything around her in place. But politics does not give you that luxury, does not appreciate the woman in that way. And that's why I'm saying women need to just recognize that this is how it's played, and then maybe build a parallel political system and say, okay, this is what we will do. So for us, in doing this, we understand that women will take time off to have babies, to get married, to do other things. but we'll do it in such a way that even when she's out, she's sort of in, and then we consolidate all our efforts to push women in that way. And so we'll make it a woman for women. We'll appeal to women. You understand our own struggles. So we're appealing to women. But when we say that women should play on the same level, what they call it, level playing field as men, I think we're being unfair. You know, there are these videos that they push out where they show sort of disadvantages some people have when starting off in life. They will show you like maybe African Americans and white Americans, and it shows how it affects your growth. Many of them have to start off at a huge disadvantage. And for me, I see that's how it's happening with women. We're already starting off at a disadvantage. So asking for a sort of platform that helps us to launch is not because we're incompetent. It's because we're already started at a disadvantage. We're asking for equity to be able to...
Let me take this call and I'll come to you. Good morning. Oh, Yakub, you're live. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning, Morayo. Good morning, everyone. I had all these says that the woman should not give 35% affirmation in Nigerian politics. Truth must be seen here, Morayo. Without that 35% affirmation, the Nigerian women cannot get the number they needed to. You know why? Why? Because Nigerian politics is beyond what you people are discussing. Because the empowerment does not even allow women to participate enough. That is the truth. Because the men also use women against women in the politics. Yeah. That is the truth. If Nigerian law does not give the Nigerian woman that 35%, okay, I even say it. Since 1999, you can see the number in the House of Representatives and the Senate is dropping. The participation of women are totally, how many of them today? I think that they give 35% affirmation. That very particular position would be dragged up between both women. Women will be expecting women for that position so that we know that at the end of the day, the woman is going to get it. Because women, we know how to manipulate things. I'm sorry to say that because some certain things that women will never do, women will do that. So if they don't give them that 35% affirmation.
All right, thank you very much, Yakub. So we've seen other parties, other people, other groups try to form their own parties. We have youth parties, people thinking. So do you think we need a women political party? You know, YPP, I mean, Women Political People's Party, something, you know. And if we even do that, will women join? Do you think that's the way, or we should find a way to infiltrate the current parties? You see?
So I think we can do both, but working with what we have already, we should start by infiltrating the platforms that we already have. And, you know, this conversation just opened my eyes to saying that we cannot do this alone as women. We need the help of men. And I do not think that the Nigerian system is ready for women in politics. Because if they are ready for women in politics, they already understand that we are disadvantaged in some way. And like you mentioned, we're not starting from the beginning. We're not starting from the same level. And so it's the men now who are already in political positions who will now begin to make laws that would give us a soft landing. So you understand that we want a lot of women to get into politics, and we know that you people are mothers, you have children, you have this, you have that, and we, you know, sort of set some things in place. There was a conversation sometime of a leader in, I think, the US or so, who had to take excuse from the Senate to go breastfeed and all of that. We don't have, yes, in Europe, we don't have that here. So they would make that arrangement as a way of saying, we're ready for women to come join us because we know that we need to balance out the energies. Some of the policies that we have today is because the energies are not balanced. A lot of masculine energy, making information, decisions, exactly, decisions that would affect the majority of the feminine energy without having an understanding of what they're doing in the first place. So for us to grow as a country and check all the countries who are doing amazing, you see that there's like almost at par representation of both energies on the panel. So for you to now say we want to move ahead, we recognize that we have women who are doing amazing in different fields. Oh yeah, come from your banks, from your companies and everything, come and join us. We're going to make things a lot more easier for you to be able to do this. That's what we need.
This call, Abosede, I'm going to break. Abosede, are you there?
I'm there. Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
You know, I want to say something concerning these women in politics that we're saying. Number one, most times women are the ones that actually frustrate the efforts of other women. If you notice, women are more, they do more of the work underground, the grassroots work. You see women doing, during this last election, my younger sister is into politics, and I saw the work they put in. At the point, people that came all over from, they were, during the governorship election, they came all over, they were retirees. They had registered in Nova, but they had moved down to their houses. They came, and the women on ground, they cooked, they did everything for the older women that came to vote. They cooked for them, they did so much. But the truth is that women don't give themselves the opportunity to strive. Most of the time, they will bye-bye, they will envy, they will do all of that. So because of that petty thing, we don't have the opportunity because men don't have time for search. Men will look quarrel and the next minute they are talking, but women will quarrel, we will not forgive ourselves. You know, all of that.
Thank you, Abosede. It's a narrative we have to change.
That's not true. Yeah, it's not even a fact.
We have to change.
It's a narrative
people,
that has been...
It has really come, people
have accepted it and it's not a fact.
Not a fact.
It's not a fact. How many women have you that you called us held in that you have quarreled with and you do not forgive? If you can forgive, that means there are 99% other people that are also forgiving. So don't buy a narrative that doesn't empower you as a woman. Women support women. All of us on this show, we've supported each other on several platforms. And we're not weird. They gathered a group of six women and from different parts of the world, and we are supporting each other, supporting people across several places. Yeah. So we must change that. And please don't even buy it anymore. Throw it away. It is not relevant.
They have used it to disempower us. And we must intentionally change it. Let's get a break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing women being empowered, especially into politics. And we've also seen how people have erroneously used religion and culture to stop women from attaining certain positions. Oh, it's not Islamic. Oh, it's not a culturally acceptable thing for a woman to be heading or leading. Because the fact that Benani even got that ticket
alone,
the fact that she got that ticket in itself, so this is not about Benani, but that in itself told us that many of these politicians use religion to stop and to resist or to prevent or discourage women to get into politics. Because this is a woman who has at least gotten the ticket for her party. There are other women who have run so much. I've gotten to the point of that being appointed a deputy governor. They actually run for governors in their office in their various states. So we don't have any barriers. The point I'm trying to make is that we shouldn't allow any barriers stop us. Yes, there's family barrier, but you can still have a support system to help you. So what other barriers do you think have been used to stop women?
I think that we have a systemic barrier in Nigeria against women in politics. And the reason I'm 100% sure about it is because the systems where they took out that barrier, we've seen thriving political participation of women. Rwanda made a conscious decision of like it's 50-50, and they have 2/3 of women in their House of Assembly. In Rwanda, more than anywhere else in the world. Why did that happen? There was a system created to make it possible for women to contest and thrive, and they did it. In appointment, 50%. It was a decision. So if we want women, it's not by mouth. We can't fight, and I said earlier that women need to fight. We will fight, but we cannot fight a system that is pressed against us. Our fight is not to fight into position. We should fight the system to open up for us. Women in business had to fight for the business space to open up for them. Yeah. That's why we're now seeing women thriving and realizing that statistics are now showing that women are better managers within the corporate world than even men. Yeah. But it took a long time for women to fight the system to open up for them to show that they can be excellent. It's impossible in Nigerian system to have a breastfeeding mother. Kenya has it. Rwanda has it, Australia has it, politician, a breastfeeding mother as a politician. It cannot work here because the system now, you cannot even smell, you will not smell the paper. You won't think about it because our system does not even allow women think when they are in that stage of having children, that politics is an option for them. That is a systemic war. So we need to open up that system to allow anybody that has aspiration be able to aspire and get into the position.
Talking about systemic war, I think one of the things that we have done so far, but we need to work on also, is just how women we see ourselves. So I've heard this, and many times it's been proven that nice women, women who want to be seen as good, women who do not want to, you know, shake the table, ruffle feathers, just never, you never end up being the iconic one. You're not the legend. We don't read about you. We read about Funmilayo Ransome Kuti. Why? Because she was a rebel. So we need to, and then we need to understand that sometimes it will take, breaking barriers is not going to be easy. Breaking barriers will not have the whole world just at your feet and praising you. It means that you're going to have some enemies. It means you're going to hear criticisms, but you're going to push forward in spite of that. And when women push, you know, these barriers, we also need to educate other women that that's not the time to call them out. That's not the time to join forces and say, oh, you're not meant to be doing this. We should join with women that we see you know, forging ahead. We should support them. I am happy that the last caller, and we're all trying to get a word in to say that we have just received the narrative, we have just accepted a narrative that is really not ours, which is women sabotage each other, we're not always there for each other, as if it's something that only women do. It's something that human beings do. Betrayers do. It's not a woman thing. In politics, more than anywhere else, who are the ones that we hear betray each other? Who are the ones that we hear backstab each other? When they talk about disloyalty, how many women do they call in politics when they're talking about that? You know, the women are actually the ones that are willing to be loyal to somebody because of the maybe investment that person has done. But men are known to
cross carpet in seconds.
Apart from cross carpet, to put their own interest above who their godfather is. They'll tell you, yes, you may have done that, but time has come for me to stand for myself. So women, we are actually, I think sometimes maybe our loyalty even is what brings us down. So it's okay to push, it's okay to be different, it's okay to be seen as a rebel, as long as you're a rebel for a good cause.
Yeah, so,
go ahead.
Okay, I would also like that we start early. You know, it's not okay to just wait till you have done everything. You are almost at the retiring age, and then you say, okay, now it's time to get into politics. We have young people that we are raising, and in schools, they start out with leadership roles, the senior prefect of this, senior prefect of that. Some of them nurse this ambition into the university where they go to the SUG and all of that. What are we doing as parents to encourage these young ladies who want to be in the space of leadership? I was discussing with somebody who is in government, and he was saying that all his life he has always wanted to be a politician, a leader, because he was nurtured in that. His parents had something to do in leadership, and then he was nurtured in that line, and he chose it. He studied it in school. He has his master's degree in that line of leadership, and so that's all he has ever known. He has never worked in corporate Nigeria. He just wants to be a politician. Do we have young women who are nurtured in that way? We need to start having that conversation, not when your child comes back to say, I want to contest in so and so. You say, I beg, it's not for, and you don't send you, I don't want them to mislead you, I don't want, so some of these things now make women move away, like it's not for me, let me just find my skill somewhere else, maybe in business and all of that. So we must start early. And, you know, talking about having queens, like godmothers, we need that now. The ideologies of today somehow have been used by the political heads to work against their own gender. So they have the population, they have the women who listen to them. But they should ask themselves, what voice am I giving to these women? What am I allowing them to do? So what we hear most of the time is, oh yeah, all of you, we're going to support this person against the agenda. So they may need to start, we may need to start having conversations with them to say, which woman do you think in your clique has the capacity to do this? Are you willing to support this particular person? And we'll just see how it goes from there.
We need to wrap up on this, but I'd like to wrap up with a quote from one of the women we really love, Ndidi Nwuneli. So she said that as you rise in your profession or industry, leave the door open for the other woman to enter. Be the first woman president, CEO, leader of an organization, but never the last one. And I think we can say that to those who have gone ahead of us to ensure they leave the door open so more women can get into politics and achieve even greater heights. Let's go on a break. When we come back, move on to our next guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, a few days ago, the Poultry Association of Nigeria urged the federal government to intervene in the current egg glut being experienced in the market, forcing farmers to reduce the prices. Join us on the show is the chairman, Poultry Association, Ogun State, Mr. Idowu Adenuga. Also, we have with us African farmer, Mogaji. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
So we'll be with you shortly, but let me talk to the chairman of Poultry Association Ogun State, Mr. Idowu Adenuga, to give us exactly his understanding of the problem. Good morning, sir. Are you there, Mr. Adenuga?
Yes, good morning. Actually, the name is Idowu Adenuga.
Yeah, Adenuga. Oh, thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Adenuga. All right, so tell us,
Thank
these
you.
egg gluts we're experiencing in Nigeria, what is it about exactly? What happened and what caused it?
Yes, actually, the main cause of this particular egg glut is the redesign policy of the CBN, which of course took cash out of the system. And if you all know, 54% of Nigeria's GDP is cash-based. So when you suddenly take out cash, it creates this kind of situation that we are having in our hands right now. And we are saying that since this is no fault of ours, there's a need for the federal government and the CBN to quickly intervene. And unfortunately, simultaneously, the cost of our raw materials is going up while the prices of our product is on the decline. So it's a complete nightmare for all our members across the country.
So, I mean, somebody will think egg glut, there's excess egg, right? Why don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so it's affordable. So for to Nigerians, it's a good thing.
Cheap.
It's become cheaper for us to. Why is that a problem for the manufacturers?
Not even cheap.
No, the situation is consumers are not buying. Okay, if you notice during the cash strangulation that we had a few weeks ago, people didn't have cash to buy products. And unlike other producers that could minimize their production, that could put a halt on their production, we are completely helpless. Because there's no way I can stop my chicken from feeding, and there's no way I can stop them from producing eggs every day. So we can't control the system. So the only option we have is to continue to produce. And that's why we are begging on government that our sector is peculiar, is different, and they need to attend to us very urgently.
All right. Let me come to our guest in the studio, because anything that happens, if I have a catch a cold, I'm asking the government to go and do something. Everybody calls on going for everything. In this situation, what do you think government is supposed to do exactly?
Well, fortunately, Mr. Idowu is my friend and a colleague, a professional colleague. I would say this, that before we call on government, associations can, take more responsibility. The government can do so much, but what we're having now is similar to what we had during COVID, where we could not distribute eggs, where people could not buy eggs. And 3 years after, we're in the same condition. Yes, this scenario was caused by Naira
Strangulation.
Yeah. However, a core conversation is around distribution. So the farmers are producing, but consumers are still buying expensive. So what that means is that we need to take the eggs. We need systems that distribute. I studied the Colorado egg system in Colorado, not theory. Now, there are just about 3 companies distributing eggs all over Colorado. So we need associations and cooperatives, urban cooperatives, to go into that distribution value chain such that we don't allow farmers to face these challenges ever again. It's mostly a function of distribution. Egg is still the same in number centers in state capitals. It has not dropped. So so the farmers cannot push out more. The middlemen, they cannot buy more because people are not buying from them because they don't have cash. So we need to, we need governments. Where we need government is to facilitate conversations around distributions, some funding, incentives.
But even if we distribute, though, let me come to you, ladies.
So the part, because this is it's personal, it's close, because a friend of mine she's been talking about it, and it's causing a lot of stress for her. She's into poultry farming and other areas of farming. And I think that when we started this conversation, many people did not understand what the problem is, because the average Nigerian watching is still buying eggs the same price they were buying it before. So they don't understand why there is egg glut. A farmer has the poultry farm has, let's say, 10,000 eggs. You've been feeding them the same amount of money last year, the same amount of food last year. The price of food is going high, and you cannot stop feeding them. You must keep feeding the chickens every day. When they are laying eggs, they are laying eggs every day. If they don't come and pick up yesterday's supply of eggs, today's supply would land, tomorrow's supply would land. People were throwing away eggs in February. They were burying eggs, because there was nobody coming to collect the eggs from them. So they had to crash this price of eggs from their own manufacturing, from their own poultry, from the farms. And even with that, the calculation is now at a loss. The money they are spending on feeding the chicks, they are not making it back from the eggs. So that is the current crisis facing poultry.
So how does distribution solve that problem? So if I bring it, is it by bringing it to people's houses? How? Because it's a cash issue.
It's a distribution challenge.
For me, the way I see it is there was a cash issue when there was the strangulation, right? So I'll use myself an example, and I'll use Ipori Market. I will not call your name, that woman that I buy eggs. When the strangulation started, it moved from 2,000. It's now 2,100. It's now 2,200. It's now, as of today, it's 2,500, right? But I understood at that time, because, yes, there was no cash. But then now there's cash. Her price has not dropped. And then you're here, and Mr. Shenuka is here, and he's saying to us that there's egg glut. I don't understand that. So I feel that the middlemen, so this is where you would explain, the middlemen, are they deliberately creating a scarcity for us and making your job as farmers harder because they want to make a profit?
We, the people, deal with them.
Or is it that our distributors do not have the wherewithal, they don't have the transportation, the logistics to get eggs, but they were doing it before the strangulation, but all of a sudden, what is happening that they are unable to do it? So that's the...
So you see, I always say that yesterday's formula for success is often tomorrow's recipe for failure. Now, we've always waited as farmers across the country, across West Africa that I've studied. We always wait for people to buy from us and take to distribution or to final market. And that is a major reason why investors lose their money. But instead of people funding and investing in that bottleneck to create a solution, they go and produce more eggs. So bottom line is, and I stand to be corrected, Mr. Idowu would contribute to this, this issue of egg glut happens almost every year. Yeah. I am an advocate that there's nothing like egg glut. There's a distribution problem. There will be egg glut in Oyo and Ogun, because that's the egg basket in the country. And in Lagos, people are looking for eggs.
Yes.
So it's primarily a distribution. During COVID, there was a man, I was in a group, and the man called and was lamenting he had about 2,000 crates of eggs to sell. So I just told him, is there any estate close to you? He said, yes, in Ekiti. How many? He told me. I said, go to the association and tell them you have eggs to sell and sell at farm gate price. He sold those eggs that day. Yeah. So it's fundamentally a distribution challenge. People want to eat eggs. So, and the farmers also, the exposure also is not there to know that when there are crises, you cut your cost early. How? Which is sell out, make some money and not lose everything. Because the chicken must continue to eat, like you said. They must continue to lay. So if you don't sell anything, you'll totally lose out. So if you invest in distribution and marketing, or you form a collaboration, then you do that. And so until we focus on distribution and marketing, and this is the same with yams, with tomatoes. February tomato was wasted.
Let me ask Mr. Shega, I'll come to you. Mr. Shenuga, do you agree that distribution could be a solution to this problem? And what has the association done so far to help in this glut?
Yes, well, I completely disagree with my colleague, pinning this down to distribution. Because for me, people tend to assume that farmers are illiterate, farmers are uneducated. You know, in the poultry sector in Nigeria, we have highly sophisticated investors, of which I'm one of them. Talking about distribution, I bring my eggs to Lagos. I supply supermarkets. My eggs are branded. But what we're talking about here is a complete shutdown of cash availability. I brought my eggs to my traditional buyers, and they could not buy. Why? Because they still have the inventory of my previous supply. And why do they have that inventory? They have the inventory because consumers didn't have cash to buy from them. That's what this situation cannot be compared to COVID. During COVID, we sold. This is a completely different scenario. I have logistics that I distribute my eggs. I don't sell at the farm gate. Our farm is about 40 years old. We've not been selling at the farm gate because we understand the need to invest in logistics, which we've done. So this is not a logistics problem. And then I also need to bring to the fore the fact that now this crisis is being compounded because let's assume Nigeria consumes about 1 million eggs daily. Okay, today you're unable to sell the 1 million eggs. Maybe you have a backlog of 600,000. The next day you produce another 1 million. You have another backlog of 600,000. In 1 week or in 10 days, you're talking about 6 million eggs. Okay. And that's the situation we found ourselves. As of 2 weeks ago, when we took inventory, our members had more than 15 million eggs inventory. And then how do you push 15 million eggs into a market that consumes 1 million? So the only thing that could happen now, two things could happen. If Nigeria had investment in egg powder and egg processing, you could push this inventory to the processing facility. But unfortunately, we don't. And we've been crying to government, we've been talking to government to aid us to invest in egg processing because that is a very sophisticated investment. It's like producing powdered milk.
You now have powdered egg.
Yeah. All right, let me go on a quick break, sir. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with you. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the excess egg from the farmer side, because we don't see the excess in our own side here. But the farmers are complaining that there's a glut in the system, and we're discussing the reasons why there's a glut. So Mr. Bakaji told us distribution, but our guest, the chairman of the Poultry Association, was saying that it's not only distribution, that he's saying that federal government must begin to process excess egg, into egg powder to do other things. Well, you're going to have to say something.
Yes, sir. So before the government goes into the processing, I know that may take a lot of time. You mentioned that it was the cash strangulation that caused the problem we're having today. But we know that the CBN has released some money into the banks. Some people are able to access cash. I don't know how much business people are able to get the volumes of cash that they need. But this is a problem that is temporary and would likely be sorted. What do you think can be done in the short term? What can the farmers do to help themselves? So we know that cash right now is not as much as we want it, do you advise them to probably start doing transfers? And how will the transfers work for them so that they sort out this problem of egg glut? And how do we as consumers get these eggs? Because we actually need it, and we're still paying the same 2005 as if there is no egg glut.
Yes, thank you very much. Like I was saying, before we went on break, there are basically two options. The first one is if we're ready for this and we had processing facilities, we could send more eggs to the processing facilities for us to convert them into liquid and powder, which has longer shelf life. Now, the only solution at this moment is for government to mop up, because we are talking about backlogs. Nigerians cannot consume all of a sudden more than what they traditionally consume. Now, the cash crunch has created backlogs, inventories in the farms. So the only solution is for government to mop up. And if they don't do that, what is currently happening to our members, mop up the eggs. That's what happens in China clients. Even though, and then give to Nigerians.
Yeah.
Give to.
So so what that does is that that benefits the farmer's pocket. So the federal government comes to the rescue, buys up the egg from you, you go home happy, and then go distribute the egg.
That's the way to sustain the system. Yeah. They had to do it with corn in America.
Like for instance, in Ogun State, our governor has mopped up 10,000.
Yeah,
but my colleague said, Ogun State is the largest egg producing state in Nigeria. Yeah. So if we're talking about the inventory, we have over 1 million eggs with our members unsold in their inventory. So mopping 10,000 is completely infinitesimal. Even Oyo, that is our neighbor that produces quite a number too, they've not mopped up anything. So we are saying that the state government has a role in this, the local government has a role in this. There are 133 million poor Nigerians that need good nutrition.
Yeah.
All right.
And for crying out loud, in January, the federal government stopped the school feeding program, which used to be a means through a channel through which we sell. They stopped the program in January.
Okay, you guys.
Yeah, so I was going to say that the Plateau State.
So they need to come in now.
All right, 1 second, sir. Let me get.
That the Plateau State government was actually the first government to do this. They mopped up eggs from the farmers, and they have distributed it. There's they say charity organizations have benefited from this, orphanages have benefited from this. So you would help with past inventory. Another reason I think people may have a problem with just buying eggs right now, because I had the problem, was I was afraid that I was going to get old eggs, eggs that were already expired. I've complained here before that sometimes you go to supermarkets and they have eggs, they've had them for a while, and when you take them home, they are bad. So I would also like to know, what's the shelf life for eggs, and let people understand that you can still buy these eggs. So maybe people are afraid to get eggs because they're afraid that they are bad already.
You want to take that question?
Yes. So fundamentally, it's a policy issue. It's policy. If you cannot guarantee that you get fresh eggs, then you'll be scared and you will still not buy.
Yes.
Okay? So when there are policies, then we'll be sure that that will be taken care of. And while I also appreciate the fact, like Mr. Idowu has said, that this is unique, it's different from COVID. COVID was also unique. But every year or every other year, there's egg gluts.
Unique something.
So fundamentally, we need governments, private sector, NGOs to be proactive as against reactive. It's all, okay, so after Plateau has mopped up some, what happens from next month or 2 months' time where there's no glut again? Yeah. So that distribution, there are a lot of government bosses, staff bosses, that are not working weekends, that we can engage to move these things. We need to be more creative across board. And in June, July now, we'll have this conversation around tomatoes being astronomically expensive to about 40,000 per basket. What has happened also? In February, the distribution was not there. So bottom line is...
So my worry is that if this thing sounds temporarily, why are we making a case out of it? Because, yes, according to it happens often, but this looks like a temporary problem because of the cash crunch.
So for the poultry farmer, it's not temporary. In the last 4 or 5 years, government policies has almost killed the sector. I can tell you this for free. In Lagos, between Ajah and Ekpe, over 60% of the poultry farmers, educated people, have shut down because they changed policy. And so every time they change policy, it affects the livestock farmer first. And when they changed the policy on maize, that moved the price from 45,000 per ton to 150,000 per ton, it destroyed a lot of poultry farms coming out of COVID. So bottom line is policy. Everything is policy, but it's still temporal.
Let me take this call from Brown, Delta State. Good morning, Brown. Are you there?
Good morning, Morayo.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Please, my contribution to this poultry thing is this. The agribusiness specialist in the studio just said it all. When he said the issue was marketing and distribution. But I was surprised when the Ogun State chairman of Poultry Association said that was far from the truth. I'm in Delta State. The price of egg in Delta State is going up. It used to be 100 naira, but now it's between 120 and 150. And the only cost for that probably will be scarcity. If there's no egg, the price will actually go up. So I think the issue there is marketing and distribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I want to say something. Because of my involvement within the industry, I know that there's a huge value chain, and the cost of going beyond the production is very huge. The production is huge, but processing is far bigger. Like you mentioned with tomato, we had tomato surplus in February, wasted. But imagine if we have enough processing plants to package it into cans that we can always buy for cheap later. We don't. It's very expensive to do that. And the money cannot come from individual pockets to do it. We don't have the infrastructure. And we are going to depend on government. But government policy can change and cause your business that you put all your money into to go bad. So that's a huge problem. When we talk about lack of foreign direct investment, this is it. Foreign direct investment can take, we don't need eggs. Eggs can be turned into egg whites in a can, and egg yolks in a can. Abroad, you buy egg whites that you can use for those that are doing egg whites, baking and all of that. And people can buy egg yolk and just buy egg yolk alone. So the eggshells have a lot of things it can do. So we're sitting on a government, we're just wasting. And we have a minister of agriculture. You're supposed to understand this and be looking for how you would bring in foreign direct investors who will put money on ground, the billions of naira that we need, millions of dollars that we need to set up policies. Anchor borrower is going to farmers at the production end, not processing. And the problem the anchor borrowers are facing is that when we farm, insecurity, the processing, we don't have where to process, we don't have how to sell. So the real problem for all our agriculture is we don't add value to our agricultural products.
Can I
consuming raw.
Yes, so I would like to know what sort of conversations your farmers organization deals in. When you people sit down to talk about how to promote, I don't know if you sit down, talk about how to promote the agricultural sector in Nigeria, what are some of the things that you have highlighted that would help boost your industry that you present? Do you people have this sort of conversations? Because first of all, I'm sorry to say, the government will not just sit down, though they're supposed to think on behalf of you and bring up these projects. But we know that the government doesn't do that. So you need to do it, put it in a template, and then start seeking and asking them for investors because you've highlighted what your industry needs. Do you people do?
Let me take this comment from the chairman wanted to respond to Tokwe. Sir, Mr. Ashenuga, are you there? Go ahead, please.
I'm here. Now you see, people need to understand what is happening, in real terms. You see, the problem with food in Nigeria is that food is a system. In Sena clients, there's food system. And, you have to have a systemic approach to handling food. Because now, he talked about policy. There's also the need for regulation. Now, when you look at processing of eggs, it's sophisticated.
Very.
And in Nigeria, nobody's regulating the standard of eggs. Yeah. Nobody's regulating the standard of maize that goes into my production. So that would hinder us from even export, because this product is exportable. Nigeria is the highest egg-producing country in Africa.
Oh.
Okay, but unfortunately, we are not looking at that sector. The sector is worth trillions of naira, but there's no regulation. If there's no regulation, there can't be standard. And there will never be an investor that will come into that end of the value chain without regulation.
Right.
So
All right, let me pause you for
All
Let
right.
me pause you because I have a caller that I have to take. Lamide Akala, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Oh, we lost that call. Now, let me let you answer BC's question concerning the conversations you have.
Yes. So I like to always take...
Oh, I'm told she's there. Hello.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for calling. We'd like you to share your thoughts on this because I know you're Tokwe's friend and Tokwe said you're a farmer too, that you're going through this. Tell us some of your own experiences too.
Your challenges.
Yeah, so basically, like what everybody is saying about policies and regulations, there needs to be policy and regulation in place for the egg industry, for there to be a standard. And apart from that, the egg glut that is going on right now is being forced by the middlemen. The middlemen are taking so much power into their hands that they also want to determine the price of the products that are coming out from the farm. We can say we want to go into processing in Nigeria, we want to do all that, sell the egg white, sell the egg yolk, but is there a demand for it? There's no demand for it in our country. Yes. People want fresh. They want to get it from the farm directly, get it from the supermarket. They don't want anything that has to do with egg yolks or egg whites. So basically, we can continue to sell what we are selling at the moment if we solve the problem of distribution as farmers. So for me, as a farmer right now, we are planning on how to go straight and direct to the market and cut off the middlemen.
Thank you, Velamide. You see, that's an interesting point because it's about the people. Yes, and this is my problem.
The middlemen.
We complain about government did not do this, but we forget that we are the ones making this issue. So she has said that now, as a farmer, a middleman picks up from you, takes it from you for cheap because you have a glut. And then they inflate the prices to you, the consumer. So how do we, as a people, understand that we must enter the process of the value chain with equity?
Can I bring a paradigm on the table?
Please.
We are speaking from an educated person's perspective. The middlemen did not go to school.
Some of them.
Yeah. They are
I disagree with you.
No. A majority of them are uneducated. The principalities and powers there did not go to school. So this is the challenge. We always try to bring policies that threaten the people that support the system. It's always the uneducated that are there, come rain, come shine. The educated people get better things, move on. So when we bring policies, instead of looking at policies that help them as a crucial stakeholder, we want to eliminate them. They are putting 2-3 generations of distribution. And so we want to knock them off. So when they find the opportunity, they strangulate everybody. So when educated people are coming into the investment, many people don't have business with starting up a poultry. They should be funding that distribution, creating another parallel organization with the middlemen. The middlemen don't think long term, they're thinking of tomorrow. It's just like the politics you're talking about. So bottom line is, until private sector, new administration comes to sit down with real players who have burnt their hands, policies would not change. And I heard they're writing policies now, and they are private sector people writing the policies. Salary earners, not practitioners. So the thing is going to be in a spiral.
Can you give me an example of one policy right now that you think is affecting this negatively and one you think could be a positive?
One policy is that most of the multinationals, it will amaze you, we import eggs in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wait.
Egg powder. Egg powder.
Why?
The multinationals involved in baby foods and co import egg powder.
They don't use our local eggs.
They don't use our own. And the challenge, let me balance the conversation, is that because we're not regulating what goes into the eggs, when they produce the eggs, the multinationals may not be able to buy our eggs, maybe because of antibiotics residue, because there's no policy dictating that. So even if they want to buy the eggs, there's antibiotic residue. There are a lot of things that does not meet international standard. So bottom line, so they cannot buy. That's the truth. Let's call it spade a spade. So there's a lot that needs to happen.
So we need to update our eggs.
So the multinationals want to buy, even though the multinationals have a cabal globally also. They are funding egg producers outside the country and not funding here. So there's a lot of global food politics.
So
and
what I'm
policies
But
saying-
our government could have done a policy that if
That
you
will
are,
protect
if you are
us.
producing eggs, if you need egg powders within Nigeria and we have eggs in Nigeria, you must find a way to back channel your production.
But don't put
But we must
antibiotics in
first
my
start-
eggs.
We must first start with policies
Yeah.
that ensure
How
that
to
they
put
produce
They are
that
safe.
standard.
kind of
Safe eggs.
Same thing where your soft drink in Nigeria is different from the soft drink abroad.
Yes.
Different
The
things.
sugar here,
this-
Same brand. So
we have to
bottom
ensure
line,
that
a
we have
lot of
standardized.
things is a cocktail of things that need to be resolved. And
That's
if you-
why the caller said, what the demand we have now is they just buy egg. All this powder or no powder is too much of
Yeah,
the
yeah, that's a
standardization
different-
that needs to be done. Right now, what the demand we have right now is just sell egg, we want to buy it fresh. And to get that done, middlemen, somebody needs a party of the farmers, middlemen, and retailers. There has to be some kind of, they have to have
No,
a
but I hear what he's saying. He's saying that when we do that, when farmers now say, okay, middlemen, you are my problem, I'm going to make sure I meet the consumers directly, is that you make, for the time where there will be a period where you need that middleman, but because you have shown him that you can go over him, because he needs to make a profit and maybe make up for the losses he's made when you went directly over them, then we'll have this issue of constant prices not going down. That's what I understand you were trying
Let me
to say.
even another case in view. There was a big organization.
We have to wrap up. We have a minute. Let me just take our final comments from Mr. Shenuga before we run. Mr. Shenuga, are you there? Let me take your final thoughts before you run.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, for me, there is a need for us to come up with a food system planning. You know, all these problems are going to keep reoccurring, but this one is peculiar, though. But they are going to keep on reoccurring if there's no system. As I speak to you now, we've gone to the presidency, we've gone everywhere, but nobody's even calling us to the table to engage. But there are some roles that are supposed to be played by government. There are some roles that are supposed to be played by the private investors. But we all need to get to the table and engage. And everybody has clarity on the roles they need to play. And that's where there is a gap. Because when they are coming out with policies, they are not bringing us to the table. And these are policies that will throw our investment into jeopardy. And that's the challenge we have here. So with this particular situation, there is nothing that could solve this problem except our farmers are burying eggs already. Talking about quality, the eggs that are going bad on the farm, they are burying it. Hundreds of thousands of eggs are already been lost.
Yeah.
There's a minimum to what you can give.
All right. We have to wrap up. Thank you, Mr. Shenuga, for joining us this morning. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. Thank you, Mr. Mogaji, also for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I think from all that we have discussed so far, I like the idea of the parallel channels where we have those who've been doing it, and then we have to now properly create another innovative distribution channel that can do it properly so that it is well regulated, possibly by government. And then these guys have been there forever. After you realize that everybody's using, because someone like the farmer, Lamini, that I called earlier now, she's having to go straight to the retailer.
Yes, like Uber and Yellow Taxi.
God bless you. It's like Uber and Yellow Taxi. We got to just find a parallel option. That's all we can take on today's show. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.